Okay, we'll call the meeting of the public safety meeting for the city of Hudson in order to, on March 9th. So we will do roll call, please.
Alderperson Hall. Here. Alderperson Morset.
Here.
Alderperson Wakefield.
Here.
All right, number 3, approval of the February 9th minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're going to do, if the committee will indulge, we're going to do 4A and then 4D. So, 4A, the Hudson Lions Hometown Music Fest. Chief, you can explain it, but we are familiar with it. It looked like you had a great time last year. I was there, and lots of people, good music. Any issues?
No issues.
Did you guys need to say anything, or you want to get your 5 minutes of fame on the public access TV channel? Feel free to, and then state your name and address for the record, please.
Michelle Webb, 985 Sherman Lane, Hudson, Wisconsin. Here with the Hudson Lions Club Music Fest. Last year was great, and we have kind of the same rundown this year. Music from noon to 11 p.m. Food trucks all around like last year. We're going to fence it all in, but we had a great time last year. This will be our 3rd year downtown, and we've seen the growth of the attendance just over the last couple of years. Just having it downtown is such a nice location too. So, do you guys have any questions on anything?
Any questions from committee? Any questions or concerns from chiefs?
Nope.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll recommend approval to full council at our next meeting on, are we in April? No,
No.
No, no.
20th?
April, March 20th, sorry.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next item, 4D, Valley-wide Pride Festival, June 17th. Matthew, if you want to come to the podium, this is a new event, I think. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Matthew Darnold, address 1786 Willow Court East, White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Explain it a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah. We're hoping to put on a Valley-wide Pride Fest, an LGBT kind of celebration for the St. Croix Valley queer community. Hoping to have live music, food trucks, community vendors, art vendors, and it's kind of hard to guess how many people are going to show up. We're hoping for, roughly 1,000, but we'll have it fenced off. I already spoke to Chief Willem and Officer Wildman, having 2 to 3 officers down there, kind of around in the fenced area during that time.
I saw in there you're doing arts and goods. Are you going to have a bunch of like juried artists there, or what do you got?
I don't know if we're going to be juried, but just local artists making homemade stuff, selling their stuff.
Very nice. You should have a good turnout if it's nice out for that, for sure. Any questions, concerns, comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Chiefs?
No concerns.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We'll recommend approval. March 20th is our next meeting to the Common Council.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks for bringing that here.
Yeah.
All right. 4B, Golf Cart Ordinance Draft Review. So this is the draft that I was asking for. Kind of must have slipped through the cracks, whatever. It's no hurry for it. It's just the first rough draft. However, I was wanting to include side-by-sides. Is there a reason it was not included, Mr. Chief?
I did not write the ordinance.
No, I know, but was there a thought?
No, I thought you specifically did not want to address ATVs, so I asked him for just the golf cart ordinance.
No, it was the opposite. I wanted ATVs, at least
So-
side-by-sides.
So we're going to have to create that on our own. New Richmond didn't want to talk about ATVs,
Okay.
so I don't know of any, maybe North Hudson's ordinance, but they have the new, they have a new ordinance with the changes to the DNR that allow them to, basically operate them on any city street, except for the state highways, so I'm sure I could
Right.
get one. I'm sure I could get a copy of their ordinance.
Yeah, that's
They
what
do
I-
ATVs and not golf carts, and Richmond does golf carts and not ATVs, so if you want to do both, then I'll bring it
Yeah,
back
I've gotten a couple
Nick.
of requests on both.
Okay, well, I can bring it back to Nick and have him draw something up.
Okay. Did you guys have any comments or questions about it?
No,
So it's just that, when it's the state road, it's just, you can cross one, you just can't
Correct.
drive on one.
Correct.
And it's only on roads that have 25 miles an hour out.
Yes.
Okay.
So even though downtown Main Street, right, Highway 35 is 25 miles an hour, you still wouldn't be able to drive up and down that road.
Okay.
Just to cross it.
Okay.
And then my obvious concern with this is, well, what are you going to do about parking down there? How are you going to address that?
My thought was just assume it as a vehicle.
But they don't have license plates.
Good point.
So, I mean, you might want to roll Katie into, or Mike Johnson, on how that's going to look.
Okay.
Well, because we don't want them parking on like the grass and things like that.
Right,
just
but
to-
you don't, they're going to have to park in a normal vehicle parking spot. So how are you going to track how long they're there, and how are you going to make them pay, and how are you going to do all that kind of stuff?
Okay, we'll have to dig into that as well. But were there any comments or adds or questions about the ordinance as it is written thus far from members?
no, I think that.
I'm curious
it's a
about
good
numbers.
question.
How many are there? That are,
She was talking.
sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, that I think this is a good addition to the city ordinances. That it'll help to have everything laid out for people.
Right, and your question was how many do we know of?
yeah, what, at this time, is there a,
There's a handful, I know.
I would say a handful of people have reached out and said, why can't we do this? It's ridiculous. Some people drive them on their streets anyway without approval. And it's, it is what it is. As long as you got the proper safety equipment on them. I
Yeah.
don't see a problem with it.
So they're going to have registration stickers.
Well, it's a city registration sticker, right? That's,
Would we be able to design them so that they would have a number that could be input into the parking system?
I think you would have to roll Katie into that
Okay.
discussion.
You'd have to what?
Roll
Yeah,
Katie,
okay.
Katie Sukup, the parking coordinator,
Yes.
into that discussion.
Okay.
Okay,
Because the cameras, yes, the cameras can pick that stuff up, but to have those entered into a system somehow, that would have to be the mothership out in Colorado that would do that, and I don't know how easy or hard that would be to do.
Okay.
it just might not, it might be a matter of putting in the ordinance, no parking of these vehicles downtown. I don't know how it would work otherwise. It would, but we'll bring Katie into it. Bring this back at our next meeting, but.
I can see a lot of people in the marina using that to get downtown because it's less of a walk. I can see a lot of people from the neighborhoods wanting to go down into the park for something and driving their golf cart down. I could see it becoming a problem if you don't have it addressed beforehand.
Yep. So we'll certainly dig back into it for parking, and we'll grab Katie, but let's kick it back to Nick again.
Just to
for-
include the side-by-sides?
Yep,
You're just talking about side-by-sides, not standard ATVs?
right. And then we'll put this on for the agenda next time as well. Any further comments?
There's one thing that I saw in there, if it's now is the right time to talk about it.
Sure.
It requires a slow-moving vehicle sign. Are we talking, do you want to specify a size of the sign on that so that, people don't have like a 1-inch by 1-inch sticker on the back?
Aren't they universal, like the Fleet Farms?
They're not, they're different sizes.
What size would you prefer? Bigger the better, probably?
Well, I don't think you need to have one that would be on like a combine, but
Well, what size do they use for like
I have no
a
idea.
horse-drawn
I have no
vehicle?
idea. But I know there's different sizes that you can get different sizes.
Yeah, let's include that between a 12-inch, I don't know how big they are, but we'll look into it.
12-inch by 12-inch or 10-inch by 10-inch or something. Just specify something at least that size, right?
Yeah.
So will the golf carts be allowed to be driven in the parks?
Golf carts?
Yes.
No.
No, okay.
Side by sides, potentially.
Says no motorized.
You shouldn't be
vehicles.
driving them in the park anyway.
No motorized vehicles.
Okay, it does, okay.
Right?
Does when they have to have them registered as far as lights and things like, I mean, I'm worried, dusk or whatever, is there, at night, they'll have to have,
Well, if they're on our roads, they have to have every operational mechanism as a car does.
Yeah, it has
many
to have-
golf
lights.
carts don't
has
have lights
signals,
and
has to have
taillights.
lights,
They
has
have
to
to
have
have-
taillights, has to have seat belts, has to have rear view mirror, has to have all that kind of stuff.
Do golf carts have that?
The
You can
tricked
get
out
them with
ones
those,
are,
yeah, you can get them
Okay.
with those. Standard one that you're gonna ride around on in Kilcarney, no, it's not. gonna
Okay,
have
I'm like,
that. But you can get those on there.
okay.
and that is in the ordinance as well, the requirements. So we'll bring that up at our next meeting. Okay? Number 4C, the Booster Days, June 29th through July 2nd. Chief?
It's been an ongoing thing for what, 57 years or something like that. We've never had any issue with it.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any further discussion, concerns from our chiefs?
No concerns.
Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? We recommend approval. Thank you. Number 5, informational items. Don't see any. Number 6, I'd like to introduce our new, Mr. John Mueller from EMS.
One meeting, no.
And
He just learned how to get an emails.
No, sorry, I missed out on, November I was out of town. December, I think, got canceled, didn't it? One of them
Yeah.
got canceled,
Yeah.
and then I wasn't getting the email, so I kind of forgot about it. So, was it my turn to report? right?
Yes.
Okay, thought you were just
Forgot
calling
that
me
too?
out for just showing up. I gave you guys a handout here. I won't go through the whole thing, but it's more for your informational to look at. So I'll just talk about the first page. So our total calls for the total service for 2022 was 12,321 calls. I will also point out interfacility transfers went down a little bit in 2022, and I think that is directly related to Lakeview Hospital has become more of a higher level of care facility, so that's really helped us out. We like when our local hospitals are able to handle more of these cases. It keeps the ambulances available in the community. Our mutual aid calls went down. We were looking at surpassing the 1,322 mutual aid calls we did in 2021, but in October, everything just kind of shut off. Volumes dropped. So October, November, December, it was pretty quiet there. So I think that's what kind of dropped us a little bit below, which again, we like, because that's pretty taxing.
Why do you think things changed in October?
Because I think volumes, I don't know why, but volumes from October on, we were more normal volumes instead of record volumes that we were seeing every month.
Okay.
I think that's why, and it wasn't just us, I think it was all the surrounding areas saw the same thing. Weather plays an important part of that too, and in November, we really had some terrible weather with the snow early, and so I'm just assuming that. Our mutual aid calls that Lakeview requested mutual aid, again, this is the entire service area, we requested 29 times for mutual aid, which it really is well below what most of our services around us are seeing. For public safety, standby events, so that's any fire standbys, any police standbys, or anything that we have an ambulance out, there's something going on public safety-wise. We did 128 of those standbys. Special events are events, the running events, the bike races, concerts, where the event needs an ambulance there, so we did 75 of those in 2022. I'll skip the next page, you guys can look at that. I already talked about mutual aid. You can just kind of compare the differences there between the 2 years. And then for the city of Hudson, we did a total of 1,466 calls in 2022. And I think the next column below, or row below that, should be 2021's calls. It's just showing you a comparison. So 1,326 we did in 2021. So we saw a pretty good increase just in the city of Hudson in call volumes. And then 960 of those calls were lights and siren response, and 406 were not. 3-minute average response time, and then the 90th percentile, we're at 7 minutes and 18 seconds. And I believe, I have a typo here too, I'm noticing that mutual aid, I think that mutual aid should have been on the overall service area. But the mutual aid is way down. I mean, it's normal for us, but compared to other places. Next page is just the overall response time for the last 6 months, just to kind of give you a snapshot of how the response, if it's changing, and it stays pretty flat. And then the next page is the overall service, what we consider the Hudson service area, and those towns are listed above or right below that. So in 2022, that total service area, we did 1,973 calls. In 2021, it was 1,845. So again, another increase there. Of those, 1,454 were lights and sirens, and 519 we responded routine. Overall response time of 4 minutes and 50 seconds. And the reason I think that 2 should be over on this page is we had 2 mutual aid calls in the town of Hudson. So I think I just put that in the wrong spot. But I'll verify that. When we do our advisory committee meeting, I'll make sure that everything is up to date. And any questions on that?
They say some costs for your ink cartridges.
Yeah.
The color. Holy
Shh, don't say anything.
That's hard to read.
I just do
though,
it for you
on
guys.
the
It
blue.
is, yeah.
It's private company stuff.
As far as the overall average response times.
Yeah.
On Hudson and the Hudson service area, compared to the previous year, about the same?
Yeah, it has remained pretty much the same, across the board there's been no change.
Okay. That's quick.
And I think we can always get you that data too.
We've
Maybe
seen,
some updates on our department. So I have always come here and bragged about our staffing and able to hire people, and have always said we're very fortunate that we don't have to go through what other services are going through. We're going through it. So we have had, the good news is I had requested an increase in our staffing levels on the overnight. So I want to add another ambulance on our overnight shift from 11 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning in Stillwater. Because right now we only have 1 ambulance in Stillwater at that time. So I requested that to be filled. That was approved in November, and we have not received 1 application for that. We just can't, there's no applicants out there. The college, Century College, which is our biggest feeder of EMS providers in the metro, they have 60 medic students in class right now, and all 60 of those people are committed to services. They were paid to go there by the service. So we got some things that we're working on internal within Health Partners that we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to start training people from the ground up, and I guess that's going to be the future. We have been doing okay staffing-wise. The other thing that's an issue for us is I have 4 of my full-time staff out on long-term FMLA. So again, we've never experienced that before, and so compound that with the open positions I have, and then still, we're covering what we need to cover, and we're not giving calls away. That's the good thing. But this type of staffing level can only last so long, and it's going to start to affect the people. So we know that, and we're doing whatever we can to try and fix that. And we're not alone in it. Everyone's feeling it. All the public safety people I work with are feeling the same thing.
Is it a thing of expanding too fast, too soon, too much?
I don't think so, because when we expanded, we really increased our pay, and we were way above other people. And it didn't take long for the other services to react to that.
Okay.
And then we think what was happening is, everyone that we brought over, not everyone, but 80% of the people that we hired when we started operation over here all had 3 to 10 years of experience. We hired some great people. They're still with us. And now, though, because the pay, because everyone's caught up to us, and we're adjusting constantly. We've done 2 adjustments this year. The other services caught up, but now people don't want to jump ship because the vacation, their accrual that they've had for vacation and everything else. So, I don't know, that's kind of where we're at. We know we're going to have a busy summer. There's been 4 dates that have been confirmed and in the books for concerts in Somerset. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but June 23rd, July 13th, July 27th, and August 29th are confirmed dates that they will be having shows in Somerset. I tell you that because that affects all of us. A lot of people that come to these shows stay here in Hudson. The traffic, they come through here, they're using the interstate, and they're using the back roads to get up there. They've not announced who these people are. We know who they are. We're not supposed to say anything, but July 3rd was announced. That's Fall Out Boy. July 27th was just announced this week, Sublime and others. And then August 29th is the Lumineers. They expect close to 30,000 for that event. The good news is with these, they're not music festivals. They're all just one-day shows.
Could you say those dates again?
Yeah. June 23rd, July 13th, July 27th, and August 29th.
Thank you. 21? 20, what'd you say?
27.
27. August?
August 29th is the Lumineers. July 27th is Sublime.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's all I got to report.
I have a question on this
Yes,
chart. Okay,
yeah.
so this is the Hudson City.
The
EMS
response times
times.
just in Hudson.
So, you've got these numbers down on the bottom. What are the numbers above the line?
Oh, so if you look at the bottom here, it shows the blue is the 90th percentile.
Yes?
Is that what you're asking?
So, so I see that this blue line
Oh, it's not matching.
corresponds to this, and the red corresponds to this. But why are
Oh.
there these numbers?
That's a good point. Nice catch, Joyce. I don't know why that is.
So are
It
those-
must have been
are
when
those
I
last
carried
year's
it out.
numbers and you didn't update them?
No,
No?
so it must, so everything in the box down here should be the new numbers. For some other reason, it didn't, well,
Okay,
it didn't capture it in the box up above. I'm guessing it's operator error.
okay,
So the numbers in the bottom box should be the correct numbers.
okay.
They're better.
So one of the things
These
that,
numbers are meaningless then.
Are you the
They're in
Well-
the boxes.
For the record, John,
Yeah.
just send out a new email
Yeah,
of
we'll
this
get-
page.
like I said, you guys will get the update
Okay,
when we do the performance improvement meeting. Yeah.
Any other questions for Chief EMS? None? Drew, Fire Department.
All right. February, 37 calls in February. We had two interesting calls. One doesn't affect the city, one's in the village, but we had one interesting call, and I know Jeff's department was part of it. We actually had a car explosion at Walmart back the first week in February. Gentleman's living in his vehicle and heating it with propane heaters, and one of them must have had a leak when he ignited or lit a cigarette or something, and he literally blew the doors off his car. But then when we went through the vehicle, he had numerous camping propane cylinders. He had a 20-pound grill tank in the back of his car. So, I mean, it's insane to think that that happens. But he walked away. I think Lakeview checked him out, and he refused treatment. And
Those cylinders didn't ignite, or they did?
no, nothing ignited. Just whichever one was leaking caused a flash explosion, right? Blew the doors off, or blew a door off his vehicle, and he walked away. So that's out there. That's everyday stuff. That's right here in Hudson. So pretty crazy. And then I finally billed for my first spill on the interstate. I don't think we're going to see any money out of this trucking company, but we went out 2 weeks ago for a diesel spill right out here at the 2. They ruptured some saddle tanks and put about 60 gallons of diesel out on the interstate. And now with the updated ordinance, I was able to bill, and I billed them. I sent them a bill. I don't think we're going to see it, but had it been a reputable trucking company, I think we'd see insurance money out of it. But if nothing else, anything interstate related, we're definitely going to send bills for. So just want to kind of circle back to the parking issues during snowstorms. So, and I don't know, this is probably something I know we're kind of winding wintertime down here, but I think next year we're going to have to evaluate in the city opposite side parking potentially, depending on how much snow we get. Even like where I live on South Point, if they park on both sides of the street, you almost can't get a pickup truck through, let alone a fire truck or an ambulance. You know, the snowbanks come out so far, and now people are parking on both sides, and they don't realize that vehicles can't get through. Red Cedar Canyon's a prime example. Very narrow roads, and then you put snowbanks on them, and people park in the street, and you can't get emergency vehicles through. And then I can show you all the pictures of the vehicles parking in front of fire hydrants in Aspen. It continues to be a problem. They all have tickets on them, which doesn't deter them apparently. But I know it was kind of a little bit of an abnormal winter when it comes to snow. But if it continues like this, it's going to be a problem. I think we need to seriously think about alternative street side parking or something going forward. Because it's an issue. And I know, speaking to the public works guys that are on the fire department, when they come downtown to remove snow and the cars don't get moved, they can't get their snow removal equipment through in some of the side streets.
Let's
So-
take a look at that, our ordinance as it is. I thought we had that, but
No, it's not. It's 24 hour now. So that doesn't alleviate, or a snow event, and that doesn't alleviate the problem because someone's parked there. You give them a ticket for parking on the street in a snow event. You tell them they got to move it in 24 hours. If it's not moved in 24 hours, then you ticket it and tow it again. So I mean, you're still out 48 hours from the event
Yeah.
before you get any rectification to it. What he's talking about on Aspen, you have these apartment buildings or you have a business, no parking in our parking lot, we have snow removal coming. Well, it's the same time our guys are doing snow removal. Where are these people supposed to park? So they park on the road because their management company tells them to park on the road. They can't park on the road because we have a snow event going on. And then they just park wherever they want. It's a problem.
It is,
It's a
and I
huge
don't know what the
problem.
solution is, but even with the roads getting so narrow this year with snowbanks, you know, and people trying to park on both sides, which they can do by state ordinance, they can do. There literally is places we could not get a fire truck through if we had to this winter.
I think this is more of a bigger comprehensive plan. We're gonna have to drill down on the ordinance and maybe suggest during winter time, it is one side or the other.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I think it's something we probably have to look at for next year, figure out. And if you can convince the city to quit allowing developers to put narrow streets in.
Were you here when we did this last time with the parking rules? I don't know if it came out of here or Public Works, but when we redrafted that whole thing, it was kind of a
About
big
8 years
to-do.
ago, I think.
Yeah,
How long?
8 years?
Well, I've been here 8 years, so
It's
it's
tail end.
probably right, right around the time I started.
I mean, we could certainly start it here, but.
Yeah, yeah, I just want to make you aware of it, that it was definitely noticeable this year. I don't know if you guys reported anything, but
No,
it was
I haven't
tough.
heard any issues.
Put that on a
It's not saying
future
there isn't any.
agenda,
Yeah. and
not
if you-
necessarily next week, or next month, but
But if you guys could write the issue sheet so that it's clearly explained what the problem is, so that, then that would start the communication with the
There are a
other
lot
council
more
members.
problems with that ordinance than
Okay.
just that.
Well,
we
then,
should review.
bring them here.
We'll start the review here
Yeah.
and then.
As far as winter or just,
Well, and yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? It started, we used to do odd even way back in the day, right? And then that didn't work for Public Works because people weren't obeying it. We had the same issue, right? We drive by, put as many tickets on the car as you want, but it ain't gonna go anywhere.
okay.
So why don't
nobody's
we
gonna
do,
move the
I mean,
vehicle.
Minneapolis, they tow it right away if it's there.
That's
And,
snow emergency, and if it's, but they have at least designated routes in Minneapolis and St. Paul where you can't park. So that you still can park in other areas. So that's gonna be something the council's gonna have to figure out.
no, I remember my days living in Minneapolis and trying to find a place to park on the street when I was in an apartment.
And it's more than, so you said like Red Cedar Canyon was one?
It's
or-
all
Yeah.
over the city.
It's
I
all
mean, you
over
have the
the
same
city.
issue on 4th Street, on 3rd Street.
Yep. They're narrow streets to start with, and then you put snowbanks that start to creep in the street over the winter, and now it really becomes
Okay.
impassable. It's,
So that should be part of the ordinance, and Mike Johnson should be weighing in on that. And,
Yeah. So we'll can you put an email together to both Mike and whoever else probably
so the city
needs to get
engineer,
involved, city engineer, on parking ordinance review?
and then you'd mentioned issue sheet. Did you want like an official issue sheet to come to this committee?
yeah, I
What you
think
want?
that should,
Yep.
all of this information that you just
Sure.
gave us should be in the issue sheet.
Yep, no problem.
And we can piggyback on that and just do one issue sheet. You can
Yeah.
talk about your issues, we can talk about
Yep,
our issues.
and we can just,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's all parking information, and
Yep.
same ordinance.
Don't bring parking into it.
Well, no, because it's
Saying-
not,
You know what I meant.
it's not the downtown parking that's an issue, it's the residential parking that's an issue.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, just a couple other things quick. We're having a blood drive, hosting a blood drive for the Red Cross on March 15th from noon to 6. And I had sent that out in the city email today. And then I think Mike mentioned it last month, but, 150th, the pancake breakfast is coming back April 2nd. That Sunday, so. And then we will be having a ceremony, so the actual inception date of the fire department's the 3rd, which we were gonna have this council meeting at the fire station and have a full presentation, but there is no council that night.
Oh,
But we are
because of
still
the
going to have
election.
some ceremony of some sort that night, and of course, you'll all be invited to it up there, so, but, the community's got a lot going on, I think it's gonna be a good thing.
It's
so.
nice to see the pancake dinner back and all that stuff.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
like that.
Yep, yep. And then just information, I guess, for the committee, and I guess for those of you in finance, I'm wrapping up everything for that new truck that was approved through bonding in December, I guess. And I got that all submitted in, and you should see that coming to finance and council next 20th. So
Good.
that's it.
Any questions? Seeing none, Chief Ulm.
Well, I can speak to the open position we have. Just like John talked about, all these other police agencies were having issues getting applications, and we had never experienced that in this region. We were still getting 45 to 50 applications for a job opening and weeding through it, right? Well, this last process, we had 14, and then 4 of them withdrew previous to interviews. So we had basically 10 people for a list. One immediate opening and then potential future openings. And it took a while to catch up to us, but it caught up to us. Now, thankfully, we were still able to get 6 people that we could hire tomorrow off of that list. So we'll have a list moving forward until those guys all get scooped up, guys and gals get all scooped up. But it's real, it's here. You know, I don't know if it's just nobody wants to enter the workforce or if it's that nobody wants to enter the public safety workforce. It might be a little bit of both. But I would have thought we would have seen these issues 2 years ago, 3 years ago, not necessarily now, since we're a little bit removed from some of that stuff. But it's here and it's real. And it's, you know, we're not getting a lot of people jumping ship from the river. Same concept.
Yeah.
They have pensions over there, you
Yeah.
know, 10, 15 years, you know. Man, all I got to do is 10 or 15 more years over here and I get my full pension, so.
Well, and that's really a barrier with different states' systems.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, even in Wisconsin, you can't retire from Wisconsin and then work in another state retirement job at all.
Yeah.
And collect your pension. You have to go to a different state. But we're not even seeing people retiring over in Minnesota and coming over here. People are retiring and just staying retired. I think that might be a big part of it, too.
Now, the city sponsored an officer,
We've sponsored several.
okay, and how has that been working? And
That's been fantastic. And we had to do that. We started that 5 years ago.
yeah,
And we had to. I mean, because of the same issues that you guys are now facing and starting to do, we had to, because everybody in the academy classes was already spoken for. So we basically had to recruit and find people in the high school level, right? Find good people and then say, hey, we will send you to school and pay for your education. You come work for us. You know, and that might just be the new reality in public safety. You might just have to do that, so.
It's a national problem. I mean,
Yeah.
we're
It
not
is.
immune to it. I think it took a little while for the area to catch up to it, but it is a national problem, and it's not going away.
no.
And the pay is phenomenal, that everyone's paying top dollar for all these candidates, and it's head scratcher.
It's affecting you guys more, but it's industry, everybody's
Yeah.
struggling for
Yeah.
qualified help.
And it's just getting people to apply,
Right.
you know, so.
But you said you hired 6?
No, we have 6 on a list. We're backgrounding 3 right now to decide who we want to hire for Sergeant Schultz's vacant position.
Okay,
So then we'll be back up to full staff.
good.
Monthly update, you know, thanks to Drew, you know, now we have to start doing this so that, you know, can't let the fire department outdo us. So. You know, and I don't have
We didn't have this problem
fancy
before.
colored PowerPoints or anything like that.
We're going to expect that now.
I mean, we'll work on it. It took us, so there's a call volume that was attached to the agenda that was a little skewed because it actually counted all the officers that were involved on each of those calls. So for instance, your document says that we had 92 accidents or something like that in February. We had 54.
Oh,
So more than one officer were on that scene. It counted that officer. So
okay, so this is how many officers responded to each item?
correct.
Okay,
So Melanie and I spent the better part of 3 hours today trying to figure out that report and finally nailed it down. So the updated numbers for February are 1,430 calls for service. Leading the way there, obviously 54 accidents. We had, where's the big one? The extra patrol request is 149. Suspicious activity is 44. Traffic stops, 154. EMS calls are about 30-something. They're all broken down here. I don't have them added up, but you can see on your list there the different types of calls that the officers are dispatched to every day. And that was just for the month of February. So working on the completion of the annual report from 2022. I pretty much have everything ready to go. I think we got one more look over to do for just to make sure that we have all the different sections in there, and then that should be ready to go to publisher, and then you'll get a copy of that when that comes back from the publisher. So, any questions?
No?
it would be helpful to see see some of this information compared to the previous year or the previous month, too.
We can do that.
And so, as you're going, maybe we can start building that database, so that we can see that, those kinds
Well,
of
that's been the nice thing with this new records management system is, I mean, any information you want is really at the tip of your fingers. You just have to figure out what to tell the computer that you want, because there's thousands of options so just putting the right thing in the right area for the report generation is half the
Month
battle.
over month and year over year.
But yeah, we can
Okay.
certainly do that. I do have a list that I've been keeping track of that goes over the previous 5 years, and then it gives you a 3-year average and a 5-year average. Yeah, I have that just kind of on a spreadsheet.
So it would be helpful
keep
to
track.
see whether, what types of calls are increasing or decreasing.
I bring this up quite a bit with your department. It's everybody's department and our drug issues in St. Croix County, City of Hudson. Where are we at with it? Are you seeing a marked increase of fentanyl, synthetic, or what? And ideally, if we had a bucket full of money, what do you need? How many, what?
Ideally, if government itself had a bucket full of money and could spend it on what it needed to spend it on, it would be just resources. Not necessarily law enforcement resources for the mental health community and the people that are suffering from addiction issues to get treatment.
I do know the mental issue is coming back to the state legislature about the facility up this way.
Well, it's not just a facility for emergency detentions. It's
Yeah.
how do we prevent people from getting to that point?
Yeah.
Last year we did 671 welfare checks. 58 of those ended up in emergency detentions. Right? So there's 620 people that are in need of resources, and there's no way they're getting them.
You just had an example this afternoon of a 12-year-old needed, and they both had to go over to Winnebago, 2 of our officers.
At 9:30 in the morning, they got called to the scene. They didn't get medically cleared from Hudson Hospital until 6 o'clock at night. 2 officers had to transport this 12-year-old to Winnebago and Oshkosh, and then they get back till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's a 19-hour call for 2
Yeah.
officers. So I mean, it's a
problem.
broken system, but more than that, the counties don't have the resources for the people, and private facilities don't have the resources for the people. If you were going to call today, you don't have a relationship with a counselor right now, and you were going to call 10 different counseling services and try to get an appointment to speak to a counselor, you're 6 months out before you're getting an appointment. There's not enough providers, there's not enough resources for people, and the mental health issue is continuing to go up. And that's driving the drug issue
Right.
up.
And the
right?
drug
Because
issue
people
is
are
driving the mental
self-medicating.
issue.
Well, it's both, it's hand in hand.
Right.
People are self-medicating their mental health issues with dangerous drugs and becoming addicted to them, then they start abusing those drugs, and people are abusing drugs, and then it's causing mental health issues. So,
Well, and it's not just the person who's using, it's all the people around them too.
and so you talk about the impact of one person that's dealing with an addiction issue, you're talking about an entire
Well, family.
neighborhood, a family,
And their
school
workplace
system, their workplace, which might not even be in Hudson,
Yes.
right? It's such a big issue nationwide and socially that's just not getting enough attention.
So, have you contacted Shannon Zimmerman and Rob Staffschul to request these?
They're aware.
And
They're
what,
aware.
and what are their responses?
They're working on it.
Have they had any?
That's the answer. We're working on it.
There's no feedback saying that this is what we're doing.
Unfortunately, it has to get passed and signed.
Well, there's
Oh, I
so
know.
many moving parts to it, right? You have the hospitals that have their say. You have the providers, the mental health providers that have what they want and what they need, and then you have the different politicians that have what they want to see, and trying to work through those muddied waters and gain some kind of agreement.
I know.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
Well, we certainly could put this on for the next topic. I mean, we're kind of going off.
I just have a
Yeah.
couple, I know there was a presentation at the school board from the SRO officer, and I think Officer Costick.
Yeah, both of them were up there.
And the feedback I got from that was that it was absolutely so informative of how unaware people were of how clever hiding and disguising. It was very well done. And there was talk about, there's one SRO officer for elementary, all of them, and middle school. Is there still talk about maybe having one designated strictly for middle school? Because I know there's one at the
Maybe.
high school. I don't
There's
know if
one,
they-
yeah, there's one, right now, there's designated to the high school and one that's designated to the middle school, but also handles the elementary schools.
Okay.
And the idea behind that was to do the education. When you do the counteract education,
Sure.
most people understand is DARE. It's a different program, but it's the same concept, right? The idea was that the middle school SRO would still be able to get to the elementary schools and teach those classes. There's just not enough time in the day for that to happen
Okay.
because of all the issues that are going on in the schools. Most of it related to mental health and substance abuse.
Yeah.
And that, there, it definitely goes hand in hand, because I firmly believe, from what I've seen, that the abuse of these THC waxes and oils that the kids are using in these vape devices are causing significant mental health issues in those children. And that's another discussion that we'll be having with our legislature as they start moving forward with, legalization procedures and things like that, so. It's a big ball of yarn right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure it out.
Well, one thing is to keep it in the forefront of people, so we're all trying to work towards the common good of solving and helping it.
Well, and if there are things that we can do as community members to bring attention to these issues. So, posting things on Facebook saying, call your state legislator, and support, if there's a bill that's being talked about, then let us know so that we can talk that up on social media, things like that. If there are articles that the Star Observer could write, could publish, so that we can inform people of what's going on. Let us know, because Hannah's always looking for things to write about.
Yeah, she is.
There's no short-time solution for any of it.
No,
It's so
it's,
widespread
No, it's
nationally, and, I don't know.
well, it's something that long-term work has to be designed and implemented in order to solve the problem. It's,
We could sit here and talk
Yeah.
about it all night. I mean, I don't.
no,
think
we don't have
we're
the
gonna
resources
solve
to
it.
be able to do this.
I would like the SRO officer maybe come talk with us sometime about, I'd be very interested in that.
I had a conversation today with the police chief of Oak Park Heights. Sounded exactly what you were saying today in our school. Same exact issues.
Yeah, I know with those problems at that level of schooling, right? I mean, when they become adults, it's gonna snowball into worse than what it is now,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, we're getting into weeds a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's a good conversation. Number 7, we're gonna do communication and items for our next agenda. I have 2 items. I wanna revisit, I don't know if you recall, about revisiting the enforcement policy of speeding and overall general traffic control. I wanna put that back on the agenda for our next meeting. And it's about enforcement and getting a little stricter. And then the second one is Mary Yakub has requested an APS and the pedestrian signals. I sent you the email and Melanie the email, so let's get that on the agenda for next time. I'm assuming Aaron wants to be included in on that, because I think he's got a bigger part of that, because it's citywide, not just one focused area. APS is a signal for deaf and blind.
Oh, okay, because I was going to be bringing up that information too, because,
The engineer, right?
Yeah.
The engineer,
and,
Aaron?
yeah, Aaron, yeah, we're all going to have to get used to saying, city administrator
City
Aaron,
engineer,
or city engineer Aaron.
Anything else for next?
Yeah, so, all right. Drew, you brought up that this was a homeless person that was, it's not just a risk to this homeless person, but it's a risk to the community. how can we address this? So let's just put it on the agenda to talk about it and see if there's something that we can start
Private
doing.
property, but, so
But,
that's, we get
but we can get
sticky
some information and some input on it.
there. Yeah.
And then, some things that came up with the, when they had the diversity committee, public hearing. The members, safety of the members of the synagogue, that was something that, they expressed, that they don't feel safe.
What would, well,
So that's something
put it on the
that,
agenda, but
yes.
I don't know what we would do about it.
I don't know either, but let's start talking about it so that we can start,
Are you going to have someone from the synagogue?
I can invite them, yes.
Okay, because otherwise, I mean, I have no idea what to even put on an issue sheet for that.
Let's talk about that,
Okay,
because I don't know how that would pan out.
okay, well, I'll have to talk to Jeff about it and
Yeah.
figure out, but we need to start talking about these things, and this is the place to do it. And then I'm getting some concerns about the buses on Chestnut. It's just, it is such a mess on that, right in front of my house. The two buses have to pass each other if they're going in the opposite directions, and you've got students walking, and then you've got the buses, so that narrows the street, and just, it's a big concern. And then it also is a concern because this is something for Public Works as well, that the buses are hard on the street. So we need to talk about whether it would be a good idea to reroute them onto Vine Street or how to handle that. And that's something that the city engineer should probably be involved in as well.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that covers things. Thank you.
Lynn, anything for next time?
Not next time, but some in the future, I'd like the SRO.
Absolutely.
To speak with us about the good things they're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, move to adjourn.
Second?
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody want to?